Hello, beloved twin flames. This is Stephanie Parasha, Divine Light, coming out to you from New Zealand, Aotearoa. I'm just bringing you a little sort of quick mini update, chit-chat recording because I wanted to share something with you that I think is really worth sharing and I hope will give you some excitement and so I hope that I'm not the only one that has been experiencing some massive upgrades and shifts throughout the last week. It's been really quite big for me personally, and I've had a couple of signs and synchronicities that I just really wanted to share with you on about my twin flame journey that have just been so jaw-dropping and amazing. Hopefully, I'm not going to go into too much detail about them. I'm going to try and share them without divulging too much personal information in order to protect the privacy of my twin flame. But it's been so amazing that there is also a message in it for us as well that is related to the way in which we communicate with our twins. So I'm just going to tell the story and hopefully I'm going to go for it. So basically throughout last week, I'd shifted something major in my life and I did a detox of coffee. So I went off caffeine and went through the craziest withdrawal symptoms and massive headaches and finally got off coffee. And then I was getting a really strong urge that I needed to go over to see my twin, to where he lives. And at the moment he is out of communication range for various reasons. And basically I just had to go on my instinct and trust that I was just going to show up there and find him randomly and would just connect with him. So I went on a journey to go and visit him and showed up at his place of work without letting him know that I was coming, surprise. And it was great. He was really happy to see me, and so that worked out really well. We didn't have much time together because he was in the middle of his work, and so we just had 5 minutes to just connect in and have a hug, and it was just really great, and we managed to reconnect. So that was fine. Unfortunately, there was no other time that we had to be able to spend together because he was busy, and I had other people also to visit, so that was fine. Anyway, later on that day, I finally left that town in which he lives, and on the way out of town, I decided to stop at the supermarket and grab something, and behind me in the queue at the supermarket I turned around and it was his, basically his boss, the owner of the company that he works, and I thought I didn't really think much of that at the time, but was like, okay. Then got back home, and later that night I was doing a little bit of packing because within a few days we're going to be moving out from the place that I live, and so I was packing up some of our more fragile stuff with newspaper, and so I got all these old newspapers out the cupboard and started wrapping the stuff, and then suddenly I looked down at the newspaper and there was an article about the place in which my twin flame works with a photograph of his boss that had been in the queue behind me, and it was about that his company. So I was like, okay, so this is a sign, right, okay, I'm with you now, I'm listening, like what's going on. So I sort of began logically sort of trying to figure out what was happening, and then realised I had to get out of my head and go into my spiritual meditative state to tune in to what was the message I was being told around this. And immediately my twin flame came in and said, I've been trying to talk to you and you've forgotten to tune in to me in the 5D. And I was like, oh yeah, damn, I forget about that. And so because I'm so hung up on a lot of the time, because I see my twin reasonably regularly, if not once a month, because we do live about an hour apart in our towns that we live in, and if not once a month, maybe every couple of months or sometimes every 2 weeks, and we're in phone contact. So anyway, I have been, basically communicating with him in 3D and had entirely forgotten about our 5D communication. And he's like, I've been trying to get your attention. I've got something really important to tell you. And I'm like, okay. And he said, I'm basically told me that he had done a lot of internal work and that he was ready on some level to become a lot closer, and used certain words about how that would work and what that would mean. And so I was like, wow, okay, and that's cool. And he said, are you ready? And I said, well, yeah, of course I'm ready. I've been ready for ages. I'm kind of pretty much waiting for you. And his 5D sort of higher self laughed at me and said, ha ha ha, well, actually, it's kind of the other way around. And I've heard him say this before, and now I finally got it. So basically, his higher self was telling me his higher self is waiting for my 3D self to reach the vibration that will match his higher self. And when my vibration is raised enough to the level of his higher self, which is basically fifth dimensional, so we're talking, totally free, fully in unconditional love, free of fear, of enough of a vibration that his fifth dimensional higher self feels comfortable enough to then give the signal to direct his 3D self that it's now time to get closer. So obviously a few shifts have happened for both of us quite significantly, probably since the eclipse. Actually, the last couple of months have been quite intense, and we have been sort of edging very slowly. And as I just had put out that video around the walker phase, we were sort of getting to that nice comfortable place where we were feeling comfortable with each other and less of the frenetic zingy energy, and feeling a lot calmer and more stabilized. And so he basically said this information, and I was like, wow, okay, and reminded me that, also the more I connect into my higher self and God source light, there's more opportunity for us to have these kind of conversations on the fifth dimension, and that it was important for all twin flames to engage in this kind of communication. So that was fine. And then I sort of, went on and into the evening, and was quite, chuffed with that information, and then started watching a movie. And at some point in amongst that, I sort of did, have the usual doubt crept in with my mind saying, oh yeah, you're getting obsessed again, you're making things up about twin flames again, you're just, putting the doubt in my mind. And so anyway, I went on, started watching a movie on Netflix, and just picked a movie that was on top of the trending now type romantic movies, and clicked on it and saw it was roughly about something to do with an American guy who meets a British girl, and then their experience of their romance together. So I thought, okay, I'll give that a go. Started watching it. I wasn't really kind of getting into it. I was sort of like, oh yeah, I'm not sure if I like this. So after about 10 or 15 minutes, I fast forwarded it to see what might be coming ahead, whether I wanted to continue to watch it or not. Randomly slid the kind of fast forward slider out across the movie, and then dropped it out. And there, at that point where I fast forwarded it to randomly at a certain number of minutes, the dialogue of the movie was pretty much everything that my twin flame had just told me about our relationship, was word for word in that dialogue. And I was like, what? And totally dropped my jaw, had a bit of a heart palpitation, and kind of went into freak out. It was one of those jaw-dropping freak out moments that I have had from time to time on this journey, that I'm sure you've all had. And so it does feel quite amped up again. So I just wanted to kind of do this quick video. I've actually tried to record this message several times, and it just hasn't come out right. So hopefully this will be the message that you'll receive. And the intention behind me giving you this information is predominantly to show you and to encourage you to continue to have those lines of communication open on the fifth dimension with your twin. Like, I know when I was still learning about this, that I did when I forced it and I was not coming from the right place, or I wasn't calm enough in myself to connect on that level, that it wouldn't happen. And so it is quite a kind of a subtle type of communication that only sort of, can happen when you're in a certain state. So, however, I do really believe that it is often, and it has certainly been in my case from time to time when I've connected with my twin flame strongly in the fifth dimension, it has really, really helped our 3D connection. And I get the very strong sense that, and I've talked about this in my previous videos, that our relationship starts and is interpreted and filtered down from the fifth dimension and what's going on in our relationship there with our twin flames. And again, it's that crossover between, for the awakened twin, our 3D self has to raise our vibration enough to reach the level of our twin's fifth dimensional higher self. And that's how it's working right now. It's that crossover. So, I hope that's helped and given you some bit of hope as well for your journey. And I'd love to hear if you've all been having some amazing synchronicities like that as well. Know that you're not going crazy. It's all happening. Okay, lots of love to you all. I'm going to leave it there. And if anyone feels to be in touch with me to have a session, I'm really open for much more sessions at the moment. I'm very much opening up to giving more time and devoting more time to that. Okay, I'll leave it there. Sending you lots of love and lots of light. Okay, bye.